at noon, state lawmakers are now fighting the city's proposal to build a new landfill near Oahu with legislation. They say they introduced bills that would prohibit landfills from being built over aquifers. Now, this comes after many expressed concerns over the city's proposal for a 15-acre landfill on ag land owned by the Dole Food Company, about 800 feet above an aquifer. Opponents of the plan say it's an unnecessary risk to Oahu's drinking water and public health, and that the plan also takes away valuable ag lands.
We are saying no to a landfill above our aquifer, but we are also saying we want to be problem solvers. And so from my community, the message is loud and clear. They want us to go back to reopen the conversation with the military and seek to identify other sites that we can use on lands that have already been degraded.
No water, no agriculture. No agriculture, no food. In a time when we're trying to grow agriculture, why in the world are we considering burying it?
Now, the city insists its landfill decision came with exhaustive planning, technology to protect the environment, and officials say the proposed landfill will have 2 liners to prevent leaking. City Environmental Services Director Roger Babcock also said the proposed site is the one that ticks the most boxes on where landfills can go on Oahu. The Trump administration is trying to clarify who will and will not be impacted by its new directive freezing federal aid. This as the president's crackdown on immigration ramps up. Erica Brown reports from the White House.
White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt held her first briefing Tuesday, tackling a barrage of questions about President Trump's federal aid freeze.
This is not a blanket pause on federal assistance and grant programs from the Trump administration. If you are receiving individual assistance from the federal government, you will still continue to receive that.
In a memo sent last night, the Office of Management and Budget ordered all federal agencies to assess their programs and activities to ensure they comply with President Trump's recent executive orders directing assistance be temporarily frozen.
Every one of our offices has been deluged with calls from people who are in panic. What is this going to mean?
The freeze memo specifically mentions financial assistance for foreign aid, quote, woke gender ideology, and the Green New Deal. Democrats say Trump does not have the authority to freeze funds Congress approved.
This illegal move is a massive overreach by the Trump administration.
Many Republican lawmakers are defending the president's move.
A lot of these grants were predicated on divisive, discriminatory, and illegal DEI. So we'll find out more, but I think it's appropriate to take a look at it.
The Trump administration stressed that the freeze will not impact assistance provided directly to individuals, including Social Security, Medicare, food stamps, and welfare benefits. The memo comes as President Trump's immigration crackdown hits cities across the country. Newly confirmed Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem is overseeing ICE raids in New York. She posted video on X of an arrest. The agency says it made more than 1,000 arrests Monday. And 2 planes carrying deported migrants arrived in Bogota Tuesday, days after President Trump threatened to impose tariffs if Colombia did not accept the flights. Erica Brown, CBS News, Washington.
And here at home, federal enforcement teams have been hitting locations across Oahu daily, targeting non-citizens with criminal records. Eddie Dowd has more.
Residents here on Palani Avenue in the Kapahulu area say it was around noontime Sunday when 2 unmarked vans pulled up with ICE agents exiting and taking into custody one of their neighbors. The Honolulu Office of Homeland Security Investigations posted photos online showing ICE and DEA agents arresting immigrants this weekend.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. The fact that they're unmarked, I mean, that's kind of scary.
Law enforcement sources tell us they took at least 6 people into custody.
I was surprised that it's so fast and that it's taking place here in Hawaii.
We do have an immigrant community in our apartment building. We have people from Tonga. We have people from Micronesia, the Philippines. They are the backbones of our Hawaii society.
An attorney for several of those arrested told us they had prior removal orders and were in hiding.
Their top priorities right now is individuals with final removal order or they have criminal convictions.
The whole purpose is to create fear, is to make people feel very afraid to come out of their homes, to go to school, to go to a doctor's office.
State lawmakers are drafting bills to block raids at schools, churches, or hospitals. And Hawaii's Attorney General says federal authorities are on their own with deportation efforts.
Hawaii and my department will not participate in any activities with the federal government if, in doing so, we are not enforcing the rule of law.
It's better that people enter the country legally, but does it really make any sense to spend all this time and energy, resources, money on often breaking up families?
Meantime, a nonprofit called the Legal Clinic has been passing out red cards that immigrants can read if approached by law enforcement.
Right now, we want people to remain calm, to go about their daily lives, and to know your rights.
Eddie Dowd, Hawaii News Now.
Breaking news just into our newsroom. There has been another fatality in the deadly Aliamanu fireworks explosion. Honolulu police 6 patients who is being treated in Arizona has died. He is a 29-year-old male. We do not know his identity at this time, but he is the 5th fatality of the New Year's tragedy. We're going to bring you any updates as we get them.
And happy Tuesday, everybody. We're preparing for an unusually strong storm to approach the island chain throughout Thursday and late Wednesday evening. We're going to have first alert weather days up across the entire state starting Wednesday evening and going into early Friday morning because of this strong storm approaching. I want to walk you through our first alert futurecast just to give you a quick idea of how much rain and how strong the systems are going to be by the time we get to the end of this week. Let's start late Wednesday night. You see the cold front associated with this low pressure system moving close to the island chain throughout Thursday and really bringing the potential for heavy rain, thunderstorms, and some strong downsloping winds. I'll give you a full breakdown of this coming up in my full forecast.
Thank you, Drew. And ahead of the storm, Hawaiian Electric says its crews have been inspecting and upgrading its infrastructure and maintaining vegetation. HECO is also urging its customers to prepare for the incoming severe weather and possible power outages. Now, in case the electricity goes out, officials say make sure you have items like flashlights, lanterns, emergency generators, batteries, and a battery-powered radio in your emergency kit. Turn off or unplug any unnecessary electrical equipment and have an evacuation plan. And don't forget to turn your refrigerator and freezer to their coldest settings, so if the power does go out, the food will stay fresher longer. Well, caught on camera, we have the moment lava began spattering from the north vent of Kilauea yesterday afternoon. Check it out. This is now the 7th episode since the eruption started back on December 23rd, and we just found out that it actually paused again. We're going to show you the live look in just a second. USGS says the fountain was shooting upwards of 120 feet in the air and feeding multiple lava streams. Now, this is your live look into Halema'umau crater, where apparently it has paused again, but you can see all that fog. And this is the first kind of off and on eruption, a first of its kind in 5 years. The on periods for this one have lasted 13 hours to 8 days. The environmental law firm Earth Justice is suing Governor Green's administration over his controversial appointment to the State Water Commission. The governor selected former Land Department official Hinano Rodriguez after declining to choose any of the 3 people first proposed by a selection committee. Rodriguez was on a second list of suggestions created by another selection committee formed by the governor. Advocates for taro farmers and stream restoration claim that was against the law, and Rodriguez's appointment is invalid.
The law does not provide that the governor has that kind of discretion to completely disregard and throw away the nominating committee's list and start over to get a new one.
The Attorney General's office would not comment on the lawsuit. However, the governor and the AG previously said the process was legal and the only option available. Members from the Maui Tenants and Workers Association are calling on the governor to extend his moratorium on rent increases and evictions. Now, right now, it's set to end 1 week from today on February 4th. They're asking for an extension as well as for the county to create a long-term rental assistance fund that fire survivors can access. There's a press conference happening right now. We'll pass along any updates on air and online. To international news, 200,000 displaced Palestinians have now returned to northern Gaza as part of the Israel-Hamas ceasefire agreement. CBS News followed one man making the journey to his hometown after 15 months of war. Elizabeth Palmer has his story.
A river of people on the move along the shore of the Mediterranean Sea north, not sure what the bombing has left of their neighborhoods. We can live in the streets, says this woman. I just want to be home. Men, women, whole families set off as soon as the Israeli military opened the road and withdrew. Instead, Hamas fighters were there on a charm offensive that also makes the point they are still in charge. Monzer al-Sharafi joined the crowd, meeting old friends along the way. They are amazed and overjoyed to find themselves alive. At last, he reached his old neighborhood and couldn't believe his eyes. This is where I spent my childhood, he says, and my life. He found the spot where his apartment once stood, but there's almost nothing left. I've lost all my memories, says al-Sharafi, my family photos, our home. Tomorrow, there will be time to face the future. But today, it's just all too much.
And there's news on the hostages. Israel has confirmed that 6 more will be freed by Hamas this week, 3 on Thursday and 3 more on Saturday. Elizabeth Palmer, CBS News, East Jerusalem.
In the artificial intelligence race, a dark horse enters the field. I'm Jared Hill with why a Chinese startup is causing shockwaves through the industry and why President Trump says it's not necessarily a bad thing.
On This Is Now, the growing demand for more pickleball courts has led to a transformation in downtown Honolulu. Casey Lund takes us there when we come back. President Trump says Microsoft is in talks to buy TikTok's U.S. business from its Chinese owner ByteDance. The president didn't offer more details, but told reporters he wants to see a bidding war for the app so the best deals can be made. Last week, he signed an executive order to delay a nationwide ban on TikTok for 75 days. Microsoft and TikTok have declined comment. Now to the latest in what some see as the new space race. A Chinese-owned AI startup just made a big splash in the industry. The new chatbot DeepSeek is raising concerns among American rivals, and Jared Hill shows us what makes it so special.
This morning, a new Chinese chatbot is sending shockwaves through the world of artificial intelligence. DeepSeek became the most downloaded free app in Apple's App Store. The company claiming to have developed a new model using inferior computer chips that cost 20 to 30 times less than leading American firms.
They were able to really do this on what some people would call a shoestring budget.
And investors are taking notice. Monday, stock prices for leading U.S. chipmaker NVIDIA saw their biggest ever single-day loss.
It does suggest that maybe we don't need to throw tens of billions of dollars at these issues in order to develop something that's usable for the general public and for industry.
President Donald Trump responding to the news.
It should be a wake-up call for our industries that we need to be laser-focused on competing to win.
Some analysts say the panic may be premature, largely based on size.
Unless this thing could scale, it's going to be tough to see how there's any sort of competitive wave.
It's also not clear if there will be federal pushback to DeepSeek. The company, like TikTok, may raise data privacy and national security concerns due to its Chinese ownership. Jared Hill, CBS News.
And stick around. Coming up after the break, I'll give you a look at our first alert weather forecast. We've got heavy rain and strong winds in the forecast as this low pressure system approaches the island chain.
First Alert Weather with Drew Davis.
Well, happy Tuesday evening, everybody. Again, this upcoming Wednesday evening, Thursday, and Friday are First Alert weather days as we're tracking heavy rainfall and potential thunderstorms across the entire state. A low pressure system is going to move just north of the state and it's going to be very close, which means that we're going to be seeing more intense weather across the entire island chain. I want to break down our entire weather pattern out there and show you what's going on outside. Here's out that low pressure system that's off to the northwest. This is a very strong low pressure system. Like I mentioned, it's going to be relatively close, and when they're closer like this, usually we see the tail end of a cold front bringing in heavy rainfall, but we'll see the low pressure system and the stronger end of the cold front. This is Wednesday evening, Thursday, and Friday morning. The impacts right now, we're tracking heavy rain. Severe thunderstorms are in the forecast because southerly winds ahead of this low pressure system will provide a lot of instability to the atmosphere, and also flash flooding by the time we get to Thursday as that cold front moves across the state. We're going to start off with our futurecast. Wednesday around 9 p.m. you start to see impacts ahead of the front, thunderstorms possible ahead of the front as well, and that cold front moves through on Thursday and brings in heavy rain across the entirety of the state. Right now, the highest chance for thunderstorms looks to be over the western half of the state. That's Kauai and Oahu. We could see flash flooding over Maui County and Hawaii Island as well. So here's a look at your first alert hour by hour forecast. Right now, beautiful weather out there, 76 degrees, northeasterlies around 9 miles per hour. And expanding this out throughout the rest of this evening, we're going to be seeing fair weather today, but things are going to change by the time we get to tomorrow night. That's when we start to see impactful weather across the state as well. Your first alert, winds outside right now, northerly winds, dry, comfortable air filtering in, but that is going to change as we get into Wednesday and Thursday. You can actually see the winds shift in our first alert windcast. We'll have weaker easterly trades by the time we get to Wednesday morning, and then southerly winds start to build in throughout the day on Wednesday, providing all of that instability into the atmosphere, priming the atmosphere for these strong thunderstorms that we're tracking and giving you the first alert about right now. So that's the case throughout Thursday, and as the front moves across, we'll start to see more northwesterly and northerly winds. Your surf and shoreline forecast, north-facing shores around 6 to 8 feet. East-facing shores also on the rise for this afternoon, relatively small on west and east-facing shores. We are seeing a northerly swell because of that low pressure system. That'll be the case on Thursday and Friday as well as the cold front moves across. So a little bit of a boost on north and west-facing shores. And here's your first alert 7-day forecast. Of course, you don't often see Thursday. We have that thunderstorm icon. It's a first alert weather day. We're tracking that very closely. Make sure to stay tuned to the Hawaii News Now first alert weather app for the latest.
Thanks so much, Drew. Still to come, an Oahu kindergarten teacher receives a big surprise at her school's assembly this morning. We'll show you what happened in 2 minutes. Before we go to break, here's Ryan and...
Later today on Spotlight Now, we focus in on nonprofits and the impact they're making in our community.
We'll talk about what they're hoping to get from the legislature this year. See you today, 1 o'clock on K5.
The Milk and Educator Award goes to Christy Inamaso.
A big congratulations to Christy Inamasu. The Kalihiuka Elementary School teacher was just announced as Hawaii's only Milken Educator Award recipient this year. Inamasu is a kindergarten teacher and is being recognized for nurturing and inspiring the minds of her young students and fellow educators across the state. The surprise announcement was made this morning during an assembly at the school. Inamasu is taking home a $25,000 award. There are now more options for you pickleballers downtown. The building that used to house the Fort Street Walmart is now an indoor pickleball and social club. We sent Casey Lund to check it out.
I am getting better as we've been playing. You know, this is a really cool space. As we've been telling you, this is the old Fort Street Walmart. Take a look around. There's 6 pickleball courts down here right now. They had their soft opening on January 20th. They're going to have their grand opening on January 30th. And as a matter of fact, while I have a moment, let's put those details up on your screen. January 30th from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. That's that grand opening here. They're going to have free open play, refreshments, some food. You're going to get a chance to play pickleball with the pros like Brett Eberhard, who's with me this morning. Brett, how are you?
Good. How are you, Casey?
I wanted to talk to you a little bit about this sport, how you got into it, and kind of, you didn't probably set out to become a professional pickleball player.
No, I did not. Retired from the Marine Corps in 2021, and my wife and I were looking something to do together, and we got out, and a friend of mine who was the least athletic person I ever met in my life showed me this game, and we picked it up, and we fell in love with it. And ever since then, about 2022, started playing, and we've been traveling. I traveled last year, played about 10 tournaments. It's been a lot of fun, something my wife and I can bond over, and we met a ton of great people in the community here, which has been absolutely wonderful.
And that's one of the things I think is so cool about this sport is really anyone can play it.
Yes.
I mean, even with limited mobility, some of our kapuna, they can get into this. There's ways they can play. Like we were just dinking around. If you get 4 people, you don't have to move around that lot, but you can develop your skills relatively quickly.
It's very fast, very easy to pick up. And it's not just the part where it's easy to pick up, but I met a whole community that I would never meet before. I used to play a lot of tennis, and it wasn't the same. Where in pickleball, everybody's out laughing, having a good time. We'll play for a couple hours, and afterwards we'll stay. We'll have a few beverages, cook some food, and make a whole day out of it. It's absolutely wonderful.
And I want to talk just a little bit about this space that we're in here. But this is awesome. I've been chomping at the bit to get in here to show people what this is. What does this mean for the pickleball community? Where, you know, we've been covering since the pandemic when 2020, I think people were starting to kind of find this. A lot of people were finding this sport. And we've covered the controversy of not enough courts. What does a space like this do for people that are really into this game?
For myself, who likes to train a lot, and it's nice to come to a facility where the conditions are absolutely perfect. There's no wind, there's no rain. I can work on my form, work on my shots, and then take that to the outside. And the ability to come here at almost over 12 hours a day with the time that they're open here gives me the flexibility and the time to train, which is absolutely excellent.
I love it. Well, this is only phase 1 of Pickles at Forte. You got to come check them out again. That open house, or excuse me, grand opening ceremony happening this Thursday, January 30th. For all the details, head to HawaiiNewsNow.com. We'll send things back into the studio for now.
Thank you, Case, and thank you for watching This Is Now. Stay with Hawaii News Now right here. We're going to have more headlines first at 4 right here on KHNL. Aloha.